For me as a clinician, sometimes it's really super duper difficult to decide on how honest to actually be with people, because the question like presented on, you saw the title of this video, what are the chances that we can fix this relationship, right? If you're married to a borderline, if you're married to someone, to a narcissist, if you are or just in a close intimate relationship with someone like that, question that I get all the time from a lot of people is, how do we fix it? And truth be told, I'm just going to be completely honest. I have seen many, 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 many of these relationships, and only one time have I seen it resolved into a successful long-term relationship. And it was an exorbitant amount of work for those folks, and it still is. It's a ton of work. It's like you have to think that you're both going to be two different people when you get on the other side of any type of healing or therapy or just mending of the relationship, and you may not even be compatible with this person. In fact, you're not compatible with them now, chances are, right? If you're in one of these codependent caretaking relationships, you're not compatible. It's not a compatibility thing here, it's a codependent thing. These relationships remain intact generally because of codependency, not compatibility. That's just not healthy. And I'll kind of get back to that. But people often ask me, can we fix this? Can we actually mend this relationship or heal it? And because I've seen it happen, I mean, I'm naturally kind of inclined to say, well, I mean, it's happened. I've seen it. But the truth is the chances are exorbitantly low, are extremely low. And I mean, abysmally low. And I kind of talked about this online before, like I answered a question on Quora about this, and I got some borderline rage from it. I mean, not surprising, it was like, why can't you give love a chance? And I'm not trying to be mean or cruel or condescending or hurtful in any way, shape, or form. I'm just being completely honest, and that is that uh, the definition of love is highly warped and distorted here. This isn't love. And I think too, if you were to talk to someone who has borderline or narcissism, what does love mean? Why, what are the components of love? They might be able to repeat or echo, mimic some things, but they don't really have a deep connection to what love actually means. It's just it's a foreign concept. It's a scary one. It's a vulnerable one. They reject it even. The type of real love that causes two people to be closely bonded is a high amount of vulnerability, and narcissists, borderline, they can't do it. That love, there's too much vulnerability. They can't get there. So real love can't exist. But here's some of the the real reason why too, like these relationships, they don't last, and why it's unlikely that we can fix them, is that there's a guy who, I don't remember the name of the book, the Mind Body Code. Well, the name of the book, I don't remember the name of the author. I thumbed through a lot of books, but the Mind Body Code talks about 3 love wounds, and I think I mentioned these in another video. But humiliation, abandonment, and I always forget the third one, man. And betrayal. That's it. Okay, humiliation, abandonment, and betrayal. And if you are in one of these relationships with someone who has a personality disorder, guaranteed you're going to have all 3 of these love wounds. This is the anatomy of trauma. And when you have all 3 of these love wounds, and your relationship is built on trauma and this bed work of codependency, like I don't the irrational mind says, yeah, we can fix this, and it's worth fixing. And it's like, what is there worth salvaging? But the 3 love wounds, right? Going back to those, if you've been with someone who has one of these personality disorders, there's a very high chance you have all 3 love wounds, and therefore trauma. And chances are they perceive that they also have all 3 love wounds from you. And chances are they already had those 3 love wounds from their parents or someone else. Most likely their parents. Those love wounds already exist, but your relationship with them just probably tends to reinforce those love wounds. And so if we think about what helps a relationship be really, really compatible, uh, positive, and successful, right? We're talking about trust. We're talking about intimacy, okay? Both emotional intimacy, which is highly vulnerable, and sexual intimacy. We're also going to talk about, right, communication skills, taking ownership, personal accountability, compassion, patience, and those types of things, right? All of these are traits and characteristics of a successful relationship. And the codependent relationships don't have these. There's not trust. There's accusations being tossed around all the time. You know, if you don't answer your phone, then suddenly you're cheating. Where's the trust, right? They're not able to trust. It's not part of their, just doesn't, it's not a component to their psyche. They're just not able to do it. So, communication. I mean, if screaming and swearing is communication, uh, I do hear people tell me that the sex is good, but it's like, that's just a different topic altogether. But if that's your only reason for staying in a relationship, I, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you're here. Then go ahead. Have fun with that. It's like I talked to a guy a couple of years ago. He was just a guy that I encountered in social circles. He wasn't a client or anything, but according to him, his wife had borderline personality disorder. She was a raging alcoholic, would vomit in the bed. She would jimmy off her ankle monitor so she could go out and cheat on him. And she was just awful to him, awful. And it was like, why do you stay in it with her? And he said, well, the sex is good. Like, man, are you seeking help? And he was seeking help. But a lot of those the codependent that is in those relationships, they have this frantic, desperate need to cling to these relationships, and when they fall apart, it's just this ripping and tearing emotionally. They're just ripped apart. It's almost like the emotional hemorrhaging that happens for at least a couple of weeks. Super intense, super duper intense. Once they get on to the other side of it, they're usually like, well, glad that's over. Glad I went through with it. And so that's just truth. Do you want a good, healthy relationship, or do you want a codependent one? Do you want one that's built on compatibility, or do you want to build on codependency? Uh, Relationships are almost impossible to fix because they have a foundation of mistrust, trauma, love wounds, resentment, everything in the world that you can think of that makes a relationship toxic and heinous and unsuccessful is usually contained in one of these relationships, including sometimes infidelity. I mean, I know plenty of people where it's like, well, yeah, she cheated again, but she's super sorry this time. Like, I don't, yeah, this is irrational. This irrational response is almost like a loss of touch with reality. Loss of touch with reality is the actual definition of crazy or insanity. So that is just a basic rundown of why we can't really fix those relationships. And maybe they shouldn't be fixed. Maybe that's just a bad goal. And often I found that you just can't tell them that. The codependent ones, especially, you can't tell them that. No, I'm going to keep, and as a therapist, I've had them call me. It's like, how are you going to help me fix my relationship with my personality disordered spouse? And it's like, I'm not. Maybe you should go somewhere else. If that's your only goal and that's what you're committed to, then I'm definitely not the therapist for you. So anyways, thanks for watching this video. I know that's kind of a little bit of a grim topic, but quite frankly, sometimes life just, we end up in situations that there's just not easy solutions. There's not easy or compatible or good solutions. That's life. And I know it's a little bit of a grim topic, but I don't do anybody favors by giving them comforting lies. So make sure that you subscribe, like, share, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. Also, again, if anybody wants to ask me a specific question related to any of this, high conflict types, parenting, um, uh, personality disorders, you can email me. It's in the description below. So I'd also appreciate, if you appreciate this content, little bit of a tip in the tip jar will enable me and encourage me to continue to make content like this. So thanks again for watching, and have a good one.